Hello and welcome to Funnyhacks, the show where I literally walk you through hacks that are weird, unusual and the occasional useful one as well. I'm Kevin Sandham and I'm in the field to show you the boat. Boy, boy, boy. Now you may remember this from driving a car on the ceiling. It didn't last very long. So, today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Now there's two main risks involved with this. One is that you sink it, that's not so good, and two is that you actually blow the electronics along the way, which I did, which means that I'm now using this car instead. As for what we need, we just needed a couple of radio controlled cars and an outboard motor. This outboard motor was actually given to me many years ago. It's very old, but I'm sure you can get very similar things at any model shop. Now one of the things that this car did very well is the steering. The steering would work whether you're driving the main motor or not. This car, however, didn't quite work so well with the steering. The steering only works when the car's actually going. Now for this, that's a major disadvantage, because one of the advantages of an outboard motorboat is that no matter whether the engine's running or not, you can still steer it. So we essentially lose that functionality here. But it's still better than nothing, so here we go. Now one of the nice things about this board was that it was very simple. There was just power going in, it was driving the back wheels and driving the steering. Beautiful! By contrast, look at this one. Look how complicated it is. There's all sorts of wires underneath here which we really shouldn't need. It runs on two different voltages. It has one which drives the motors and one which actually drives the receiver itself. So one of the things you have to be quite careful of when you're working with a system that has multiple voltages like this is how evenly are the batteries being drained. In this particular case, where one of the voltages uses all of the batteries in series, and then we use one of those batteries for the other voltage. That means that this battery is actually being used more than the other three. Now that can lead to problems. In this particular case it's a fairly low drain device, so it's not going to be too much of a problem, but it is still a bit of a concern. Now one of the problems I had with this motor on the first set of testing is that the propeller with age has become quite loose, and that actually means that going backwards it's fine, but going forwards it's actually vibrating all over the place and we lose a lot of power. So I'm going to try and fix that now. So either going in reverse, it's very smooth, going forwards. Now the problem that we've got here is this little thin bit here, so not the thick bit, but that thin bit there is actually quite a lot smaller than this area which is supporting it. So I need to find some way of filling that out a bit without adding lots of extra friction. So once again, we're in reverse and going forward. Oh, listen to that. That's exactly what I want. So the moral of the story is if you have an outboard motor and it's not performing well, stick glue in it. Motor died. Okay, my guess of what has happened here is that the glue has come loose and is getting caught in some way that is not optimal. And yes, it's totally disintegrated the glue. Bother, that was a lovely idea while it lasted. And so, we're ready to go. Let's go to the field. So yesterday when I took this out, my biggest problem was that the water actually sat higher than I was expecting. So this meant that there was this big flat area which was pushing against the water, which meant that I couldn't really go that fast. So what I'm going to do now is just chop it up a bit to make it much more streamlined, and then I'll take it back out again and see what the results are like. Okay, so I'm back here in the park again. Yesterday I had a little problem with the front being a little too square, so I fixed that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's see if it works. Forward. Reverse, and the steering. Let's do it. Look at it go! Okay, well the new fronts are great, but they didn't really make that much difference. Yesterday I had a problem with the transistors overheating. Now I thought this was just because I had put on different motors and I was creating too much load. However, it also happened today, but it also stopped when I removed this little piece of electronics here from the water. I dried it out, and then after that the transistors cooled down, it wasn't a problem anymore. So I suspect I had created a bit of a there. That's all there's time for today. Take a look at the website to see more behind the scenes footage and more information about how I did the boat. In a couple of episodes time we'll be back here again with something much bigger and better, so take a look on the website for details on how you can be part of the audience. Anyway, until we meet again, I'm Kevin Sandham, this is Funnyhacks. So you probably noticed that this episode was done in quite a different style to the others. That's partly due to technology and partly because I was out in the field. I'm quite interested to know what you think about that, so let me know at funnyhacks.com. Okay, that is not clever.